Good Saturday evening, everyone. Hope you guys are doing well out there and have had a good Saturday. It's been a relaxing one for some and definitely an impactful one for others. This major winter storm is ongoing as we speak. So we're going to get into it here. We got some loops like this one here where we are going to be looking at observed. This is a loop of, this isn't a model. This is what we're actually seeing. This is the last couple of hours here to an hour. It's about an hour long loop. So, a lot of snow in these northern areas, freezing rains in the pink, and a lot of rain to the south, sleets in purple. Huge system, 2,000 plus mile wide system at times. So, very, very impactful. Excuse me. So, we're going to get into the latest. Like and subscribe if you have not done those things already, and leave a comment down below where you're watching from. It'd be greatly appreciated. So I'm just going to stop this on the latest loop here. So let's just move this out here. So, we got some freezing rain. Let's pick a reasonable color here. We got some freezing rain, sporadic in some of these areas. It's starting to make its way into the eastern areas east of the Appalachian Mountains. See, North Carolina, South Carolina, even Georgia in areas. And then, sleet shows up in purple back here. And that's a lot of areas. Oklahoma, most of the state is snow at this point. Not all of this is hitting the ground. Keep that in mind. Some of this is light. Areas at my house currently, it is 33 degrees, and the dew point is like 18 or 19. So we're not quite saturated yet, but we need precipitation to start falling in general before saturation can occur. But that will be very soon. And if it's not, areas over here, I say like Richmond, I don't really know if it's actually snowing there yet, but it could be. Areas where it's heavier, it's probably snowing. But, we have freezing rain down here, some rain mixing in. The current radar loop is actually playing on my phone, and yeah, it's from the Greenville radar tower. There's some freezing rain. It's mainly in the mountains, this stuff right here, but yeah, so this is the latest loop from that. So what about watches, warnings, and advisories? So this is the latest from the National Weather Service, and we have our ice storm warnings up. These have been up for a day or two now, as well as down here. And the pink that surrounds this are winter storm warnings. We have winter weather advisories down here in this kind of muted shade of purple, and then this really dark blue kind of purplish color up here are winter storm watches. So with that in mind, let's get into this. So this is the HRRR model, valid, right about now. Looks about exactly like what we were looking at on our observed loop. So that's pretty cool. But yeah, so we'll kind of move this in time here. Just focus in here. So getting into the overnight hours, starting about now and getting in, precipitation really breaks containment east of the Appalachian Mountains. We're having snow in a lot of areas of Virginia. Almost the entire state of North Carolina, based on this, is freezing rain. I don't think this is quite right. I think we're going to have, you see in this like purple right here, I think we're going to have more purple down here. I think we might have purple even extending more like this to start the event, possibly. And very, very large area of freezing rain. Areas right now that are dry, like Arkansas and northwestern Mississippi, there's not really anything falling right now other than maybe some freezing drizzle. That will quickly change as we move out in time. This is like 1, 2 a.m. and a lot of freezing rain. This is the second round of freezing rain in these areas. Freezing rain in Dallas all the way down to San Antonio over near Houston. It does kind of switch in Houston. And we get out into the morning hours. It's like 7 a.m. Eastern time. Very intense, widespread snow along the Ohio River Valley down into the Delta where the Ohio River meets the Mississippi. And just a huge, huge snowstorm getting all the way back from Oklahoma to near, the eastern seaboard states, into the eastern seaboard states, This is, we'll take a closer look here. This is New Jersey, Delaware, Maryland. Southern areas are mixing though based off of this. And we move this on in time, if I can click on it here. And just areas that in our cold air damming region as well. I mean, this right here is a good frame to look at both of our highlighted areas here. Well, let's take this back and let's make it a little bit bigger here. Our region number 1 and our region number 2 showing up very well here. And we actually have what looks to be, let's use a different color here, some severe weather down here. It's crazy. I think the Storm Prediction Center, I actually think they have a slight risk equivalent down here in some of these areas for 5% risk of a tornado within 25 miles of any given location. So we can look into that tomorrow if I still have power by the time I need to make a video. We'll see. Who knows? But, up along the Ohio River, Indianapolis, Columbus, Canton, Cleveland is snowing. Pittsburgh, you're actually getting snow here. Just very, very big snowstorm and then crippling ice really setting up here in our cold air damming region, all the way from Atlanta over to Columbia. Now, this is a good time to mention that if you live in Columbia, in these areas right here, and you're wondering, there's not really anything falling, I wonder if we're kind of going to get spared. Maybe you will, but there's also a chance that this lighter drizzle that's not showing up here, I think we'll have like a freezing mist, a kind of a drizzle, if you will. Think about any average just rainy day down here in the South. Not necessarily like a thunderstorm, but just a rainy day where you've got, heavier rain showers. And you also, when you're not under one, it's just kind of misty, right? You kind of look outside and you can put your arm like out the window and you just kind of feel some moisture hitting it. If that happens, that stuff will stick like glue to your power lines because it's falling so slow. And your temperatures will be cold, the upper 20s in most of this region here. Cooler as you get further north. But not to spend too much time here, warm nose getting into Charleston, West Virginia here. Very aggressive warm nose. I think we're locking into this. The only thing that tells me this might not be right is the fact that our low pressure, let me select red here and make this a little bit wider. Our low is modeled somewhere to be like in here. I honestly don't think it will do that. I think our low might be here. So it kind of tracks like this as opposed to like this. That's the only thing. That's the only difference. But nevertheless, look at some of this freezing rain. Columbus and Mississippi, down here to Jackson, just west of Meridian, Brookhaven, down into, this is getting into Louisiana here. So north of Baton Rouge, over to, Lake Charles, Alexandria. This is also your secondary round. This is not your first round. Very, very heavy. It's convective in nature. I think that you will get thunder ice in this area. Most people have heard of thunder snow. Thunder ice is the same thing. Look at some of these storms here. Very like intense cells, Columbia, Hattiesburg, Mississippi. And think about that. And then, it's the same thing as occurring in the upper levels as it is right here in Jackson. So if you compare Jackson over to Meridian right here, at the surface, obviously things are very different, but you go up a few miles and things aren't different a whole lot. So what you end up getting is some instability developing in the upper levels, and you might have some lightning, some electrical discharges in the upper levels, and you actually hear them. So that's an interesting feature there. But, cold air damming getting going here. Some of these are really heavier showers. Don't focus on the locations of them. Look at this snow. This is like 10 a.m. Sunday. We're really getting started with this at this time. We move this on. Cold air damming. Our first area back over Mississippi primarily kind of gets done with. You're kind of done with this by like 2 or 3. And you have more, it transitions more to a linear mode based on the HRRR, and we get a very, very heavy round. I personally am locking onto this idea here where we get this heavy round of freezing rain. And let me reiterate something. Cold air damming is typically stronger and lasts longer than modeled. So if you have your cold air damming in this region right here, I would struggle to believe that areas, let's zoom in a little bit. Areas, say, Gainesville, down here to Athens, Washington, Thompson, Augusta, I would struggle to believe Columbia is the same way, that you guys actually switch to rain. I just think that it might stay frozen. I could be wrong. One thing the National Weather Service does note is that typically the cold air damming wedge survives. However, and they literally use this wording, this is not a typical storm. They literally said that. And I believe them. I like that logic. We have very strong warm air advection from the south here pushing up north with this low. And I think that that has a potential to overcome the cold air damming. Nonetheless, areas of Greenville, Spartanburg area, specifically the northern counties of South Carolina, do not ever switch to rain. Here's that round. This would be 5 to 7, 4 to 8. Let's just use a wire 4 to 8. So the mid to late afternoon into the evening when this really heavy band moves in. And not to spend too much time, look at areas of the north. This is such a snowstorm for you guys. I can't believe you guys stole this from us. That's meant lightly, of course. And we move this on, and we just, we get some mixing up to Richmond, Philadelphia, New York even, Providence, Rhode Island. But don't worry too much about the details. You might even end as really, really heavy snow on the backside of this in Boston. That's pretty cool. And then out over the Cape. So there's the latest with that. I'm going to go ahead and put this on a loop because this is what we're going to end on. So here we go. This is our freezing rain. This is obviously what many people are talking about. This is going to take the cake for being the most impactful, I believe. And let's use this, make it a little smaller. So anywhere you see yellow is impactful. Even this kind of purplish shade here. The purple is indicating a few tenths. That's significant. That can get some power outages going. You get into this yellow color here. That is near and above half an inch. And you get into this blue, and that's over an inch. Anywhere in this yellow where you're getting over half an inch is really, really bad. So we'll focus on one area at a time here. This is going to be an area where you get really hit twice. So obviously you can see your region here from Nashville down to, let's zoom in a little bit, show some cities here. Greenwood, for example. Greenwood, Mississippi, up to Nashville with the heaviest totals on this run. This has moved around some. The one earlier run had this a little further south towards Monroe, Louisiana. I think that we will get that, honestly. I think we might extend this blue down here a little bit, if you will. These are really, really high and really, really very dangerous values. 1.2 inches of freezing rain. This is really, really, really bad, to put it lightly. Crippling is a really easy word to use, and I think it should be. Devastating is a different word. Catastrophic is another, but I honestly think if these totals actually happen, this is catastrophic. 1.3 inches of freezing rain in, say, Boonville, Mississippi, Oxford, Tupelo. Grenada is kind of a, don't worry about this little whatever this artifact is. Just Grenada at near an inch, above an inch in areas. It's devastating. And then obviously this gets up into Nashville, even up into Kentucky in areas. And then along the Appalachian Mountains, some of these areas, this is all microclimate driven. That's why I also recommend, I hope you watch me. I want you to watch my videos, but at the same time, please tune into your local news networks. They're going to understand your area the best. And for those of you watching from the Greenville, Spartanburg area, I do have loyal fans because I live here. I have friends and family that watch in this area. I understand this area better than some people would. That doesn't make me a professional. But areas, I'll use it like this. Areas in that red circle right here are microclimate driven. So you have valleys and mountains everywhere. And depending on which one you're in or on, mountain or valley, it could change this entire storm for you. There will be some valleys and some ridge tops that people live on that, other than it being breezy, nothing happens. It's just a little warm. It's like in the 40s, upper 40s, so nothing really accumulates when it comes to freezing precipitation. And others where you get an inch or more of freezing rain and your trees are falling over. So we'll get into the wind in a second. But this area of blue is over an inch. I honestly think that this is very possible. I'll go ahead and spoil it for you. There's kind of a bullseye showing up in what the expected freezing rain totals are from the National Weather Service right in here. And I honestly think that because of stuff like this, they might extend a corridor up like this just to kind of fill this in that is the heaviest. So you know, that's a broad look. Even areas of Dallas, east of Dallas, sorry, well, east of Dallas too, but west of Dallas over to Abilene, kind of another hotspot area. This is on top of what you already had. What about sleet? HRRR does not do a whole lot with sleet in some areas, and yet it still does nearly 2 inches, 2 to 3 inches in some areas. Won't go over this as much. Sleet, it's just little BBs of ice, but a lot of Virginia looking like sleet, as well as snow. I don't know if I have a graphic pulled up. I'll just go ahead and show it to you. Here is, I'm going to use this one. Here is the latest snowfall from the HRRR. We see these 6+ inches all the way from Roswell, New Mexico, up through Oklahoma. We have Missouri here, Jefferson City good for nearly 9 inches here on this run. 13 inches. This is the HRRR. We'll show you the expected amounts, and then a really hot spot area in the northeast here, New England. You'd be measuring your snow in feet, not inches. So that's impressive, isn't it? How about the wind? This is the latest HRRR, and in these areas here, Jackson down through Memphis, and then Greenwood, Grenada, a lot of these areas we were talking about, you're in the 20s, mid to upper 20s for wind gusts. That is more than enough. Think about your trees in your backyard. If you've got, let's say you have a 50 or 60 foot tree in your backyard, and it's not a pine. Let's just say it's a typical, like an oak tree, a water oak tree, and it's got a lot of surface area for branches. Obviously, its leaves are going to be gone by now, but you're adding thousands of pounds to that tree just for it to be breezy, to even what some consider like a windy day afterwards is not. I mean, you can put two and two together and figure out that is devastating. Areas over here in the Greenville-Spartanburg area, locally higher gust into the 30s. And then, there's some areas here showing up in the teens. And you're like, oh, why's that? I mean, that's because these mountains block the wind, but don't focus too much on that. You can almost see the wind streaming off the mountains here on this run. But just, it's the same story. Mid-20s, upper 20s, maybe even 30 across some of these areas. So devastating here, especially areas that got a lot of tree damage from the hurricane back in 2024. If you didn't know, a hurricane Helene came up and went like this, tracked right through this area, did a lot of tree damage, especially in the higher elevations, and dropped nearly 30 inches of rain in the higher elevated regions here. I mean, it was terrible. We lived through that. Obviously, we were lucky at my house. Power's off for a few days, and we knew people that had it off nearly 2 weeks. So that was a hurricane, and that your temperatures were not near or below freezing, and this is a different story. So here is the expected ice. So this is the latest in these areas. You can see a highlighted region very obviously showing up. I gotta pick a different color. Over here, Grenada Tupelo area with the highest totals. This is on top of what you've already had. This is from now through the rest of the event. So anything that's already fallen is not included. And you're still calling for 8400ths in Grenada, 7600ths and 7600ths in Tupelo. Lot of freezing rain. And then we move this to the Carolinas general view here. I'm going to make sure, go back one. I'm going to make sure that we don't have any updated information here. For those of you who are still here at this point in the video, this is actually the third attempt at making this video that I've done. We've had some issues with screen recording, so I've gone over this a good many times, almost to myself here. But yeah, this has not changed a whole lot. We have half-inch values here, getting all the way up near Richmond, although they may have actually dropped those off a little bit. So that's good to see. And so let's take a closer look at my neck of the woods. I have some viewers, friends and family that watch my videos that live in this area, so I want to show you guys. This is the latest. This was issued about an hour ago. I think this is relatively unchanged. I don't really see anything too crazy different. Here's that bullseye I was telling you about. Gainesville is almost right in the middle of it, where you've got 8/10 being expected. This is not modeled. This is not a maybe. This is like, according to everything we've seen, the National Weather Service anticipates that you're going to get 8/10 of an inch of freezing rain, and that is devastating, especially with the wind. Closer you get to Atlanta, the windier it is. And we have, our ridge top showing up pretty well. This is the area that got hit hard with Helene as well. it was much more widespread. Let's be honest. The area that got affected with Helene was more like this, but you can see these higher elevations here getting the most of it, as well as the windiest conditions. There's a high wind warning up in this region right here along the ridgetops and the Smokies for gusts up to 60, and the local meteorologists are calling up to 80. So if you get this much freezing rain on a local basis, and then you get that much wind, it's absolutely devastating, catastrophic tree damage in these areas. So that's the latest there. Our high end is pretty similar here. I honestly think that we might get this as a medium range here. I don't think they have to be conservative, right? Because they're an official source of information. They're not going to come out here and say that you're going to get 2 inches of ice in Greenville because one run showed it. I'm not going to say that either. But something about this and what we've seen on models, it just makes me think that we could see more. And the only thing saving us, I'm going to go back here. Should be this one. Yes. Well, I'm going to go back here and I'm going to show you. I'm going to select sleet and I have to go to the GFS. It shows sleet better. So notice that there's regions here. The resolution's lower, but north of Gainesville, up the I-85 corridor into Greenville, we're sitting at less than an inch of sleet. It's just really dropped off. But say north of Greenville in some of these areas, at or around an inch of sleet, I would normally say, oh, this can save you, right? You have a bucket of water, of liquid precipitation in the atmosphere that's available for use. And if you get some of it to fall as sleet, then that can't fall as freezing rain. You can use simple logic and figure that out. But these values aren't high enough to save us. And we really need some of these like 2-3 inches of sleet to really get that going. And we don't have it. This has dropped off. And this is one of the models that showed sleet aggressively. So I don't think we have much of a chance to get saved by by sleet. This is the GFS, just why we have it pulled up for freezing rain. A little bit less in these areas. I'm not really entirely sure why. I honestly kind of just wonder. But this is still, regardless, still absolutely bad in every way. This is still devastating. Just because you don't see the highest values doesn't mean that it's not bad. While I have it pulled up, might as well just show you. what does the Euro show? As soon as it loads in, pretty similar story to the GFS. Our global model guidance is not going to show as much on a local basis. The RRFSA model here, what does it show? A little bit less. I think that RRFSA has gone away from the app. I don't like this look. I think that it's not really targeting the areas it should be. And this is not the most recent full run. Let's do this and then look at the whole thing. So yeah, it's still pretty similar. Widespread, 5 to 7 tenths. So that's believable. That right there tells me why this graphic looks like it does, because you do have guidance that doesn't show the highest end. We do have potential to get more than this. I'll leave it at that. So what about snow? Obviously for our areas down here in the south, not a whole lot of anything, but areas to the north, golden here. We have southern Indiana here with a foot of snow. Foot of snow shows up in this kind of dark purple color, into kind of reddish color here. And yeah, so 6 inches or more shows up in this pink and purple here. Very broad corridor here. The Midwest, Ohio Valley, looking very, very good for snow. Can't believe you guys actually ended up stealing this from us. It's crazy. We actually started off with this down here. And, this little extension here of snow kind of digging down this is, by the way, this is not a model. This is what they're expecting, just all stitched together. But this area here would be sleet, not snow. It models and guidance have a really, really hard time determining which is which. So when you see nearly an inch showing up in Greenville, that would be more sleet. But they're still calling for some sleet. And trust me when I say we'll take any sleet we can. So this is a look just further to the north. Yeah, this is huge. Biggest snowstorm you guys have had in years, by far. So notice some of these areas include lake effect areas that have already gotten feet of snow. So this is just rich get richer up here. But a lot of you have not gotten a snow like this in a long time. And here it is. The entire state of New York has 6 to 8 inches or more. Same for Pennsylvania, 10 inches or more in almost every single county. I think it is every single county. And then, down here into New Jersey, when you get in the southern areas, you might mix a little bit. There's lower values. Delaware, same story, but I think you're going to stay mostly snow. Get into Connecticut, Rhode Island, Boston, Vermont, New Hampshire, even into Maine. Even the northern areas that are notably less are still measurable snow. So, huge snowstorm. And so, yeah, we'll go back to this. This is as of 8/18. I don't know if this is going to load in or not. Yeah, it will. So here we go. This is the latest frame. So we are absolutely getting some of this precipitation breaking containment here. We have, heavier snow getting into this is live, by the way. It's not a model. If I didn't say that, from Pikeville, Kentucky, all the way over to Richmond, down to Greensboro, it's snowing. And I think a lot of this will start to hit the ground. You're going to see your dew points and your relative humidity start to climb. I'm already noticing here that, our relative humidities are climbing, which means our dew points are climbing as well. But this is breaking containment here, definitely hitting the ground in a lot of these areas. Freezing rain starting to make its way in. And let's just look, and just because we should, at areas back over here. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of sleet. This is kind of a mess, right? You see a lot going on, but in these areas here, okay, it's going to load in. This is even more updated, but a lot of a mess in this area. I think anywhere you see blue is probably not snow. I think this is more likely to be a mix. And we have heavy snow in northern Texas all the way up to Oklahoma, through Oklahoma. Let's just get everything off your screen here. And it just continues. Not all this is going to be hitting the ground in some areas. It's a little bit too dry, but it's definitely cold enough. So this is the last video, most likely, that I will be able to make. I say most likely. It's like a 50 or 60% chance because I'm not going to wake up especially early tomorrow unless I do lose power. But I don't know when our power will go out. It could go out overnight. It could go out at lunchtime tomorrow. I don't know. But if at all possible, I will get a video out to you guys and update you. So tune into that. Have notifications turned on. When you hit the subscribe button, you have that option. Turn those on so you get a notification when I post. Because who knows when the time will be. I couldn't even tell you. So this is the latest. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. Again, like and subscribe if you've not done those things already, and leave a comment where you're watching from. Thank you for watching, and I will see you guys in the next one.